Hi, it's Kanan here with Gear Talk Episode 9. Today I'll be comparing a Sony RX100 MK3 with an iPhone and a Pixel 3a in terms of portrait mode and seeing how the use of the portrait mode versus a physical lens on a bigger sensor but still fairly portable compares. And is it worth getting compact cameras like this, especially for if you're taking product photos for your small business? And how well those portrait modes on the computer detects your object and blur out the background to get you the image that you want. So let's jump into it. I have these Christmas ornament that my friend made, laser cut, and I'm going to put it in front of some fairy lights just to get that fake light blur in the background in the portrait mode, and then I'll be taking pictures on each camera, and then followed by that I will take a selfie because portrait mode normally correspond to a person, and then I would pull it up in Lightroom and compare the images. So here we go. So I have a LED continuous light over here to the left, and then I have the fairy lights in front of me behind the object. And first I'm going to take it with the RX100. Try to position this. I'm going to open it to f2.8 because I'm not at the widest. I zoomed in a little just to see. And I am going to manually focus on the heart-shaped paw feature. Okay, and now with the iPhone, portrait mode, it tells me to move further away, still further away, and I hit it right about there. And then for a fair comparison, I'll also do it at f2.8, but I'll shoot at f1.4 for the most extreme case. And also because I know there's sometimes issue with the blurriness, I am going to shoot it at f4 as well, based on what I've seen with using this camera before. Okay, and then the Google Pixel 3a. So sorry, that was the iPhone Mini 12 Mini, just because I'm trying to compare these three cameras that are both a little bit older, but the price range were about the same, along with the Sony RX100 MK3, which isn't the newest camera nowadays. So Pixel 3a, the portrait mode. So in the Pixel, it crops in right when you switch your portrait mode. With the iPhone 12 Mini, it remains the relatively wide angle and no zoom, and you can't even pinch to zoom when you're in that portrait mode. Okay, I'm going to frame it up. Focus on the paw and the heart shape. Going to take some vertical. And obviously, with talking about portrait mode, we have to take a selfie. Try to have the lights in the background as well. Let's see what happens. Just front-facing camera. So yeah, I wanted to make this video because I wanted to see the differences between Pixel 3a, the iPhone Mini 12, iPhone 12 mini and the Sony RX100 MK3. I wanted to see if there is still a space for people to buy these compact cameras. There is something to do specifically with an optical lens with the ability to create that bokeh versus the artificial masking on the phones in the portrait mode. Definitely, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but looking at the photos, the Pixel always seem to do a better job at the depth of field. I don't know if their processing is just significantly different, but visually it looks more realistic to me compared to the iPhone 12 or iPhone mini. Yeah, I don't know if that still holds true with some of the newer flagship versions of the Pixel and iPhone, but yeah, the Pixel, in my opinion, wins in that regards. On the iPhone 12 mini, there is some special features like the studio lighting, natural lighting, the backlight, stage light. Some of those are really neat to get some cool effects, but overall, for just creating that fake depth of field, if I want to take an photo of an object for my small business or whatever, I feel like my first choice would be still the Sony RX100 with the actual lens that I can control. And then the next would be the Pixel because it can create a more realistic depth of field blurriness. And then the iPhone for different creativity. But yeah, I was just surprised because I bought the iPhone 12 mini because it was on sale and I bought it for video. But I was just so curious because there was so much iPhone hype on for photographers. And yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised that the Google Pixel 3a, which is the older phone, actually I like the portrait mode on that better than the iPhone. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful. And if you have comments, I'm interested to see if you have the Pixel 6 or the iPhone 13, and if those flagship cameras have better handling of the depth of field, please let me know. But these are two phones and a camera that's roughly in the $400 Canadian price range when they're on sale or at the time that I bought them. So I figured they were kind of equivalent to compare. Okay, so taking a look at the pictures just quickly on my phone. I'll pull it up in Lightroom in a little bit. But for the ornament itself, taking the picture of it, the Pixel 3a actually looks really good. It even looks better than the optical depth of field from the RX100. It's a matter of the 2.8, and the compression just looks a lot better on the Pixel 3a. So I was actually pretty surprised by that. The Pixel 3 has surprised me a lot. Many times I've taken pictures of just objects at work with the portrait mode, and people think I've used a proper camera for it. But just the depth of field and the compression, the right mix of it, it just makes a very pleasing photo. Still probably won't compare to a full frame 85 mil or 50 mil portrait lens, but it's pretty good. The masking looks perfect. On the iPhone 12 mini, I was surprised it was pretty bad. Like some of the pictures I would say are unusable in portrait mode. And I don't know if it's just a matter of the iPhone mini without the LiDAR. Maybe the iPhone 13 or I don't know if the iPhone 12 actually has the LiDAR as well, but maybe that improves the portrait mode processing. But without it, some of it's pretty bad. The masking looks way off, and the parts that shouldn't be out of focus is out of focus. In terms of selfie, both the phone had difficulty with my hair because of the spikes. That's kind of as expected, but both the front-facing cameras are different. I usually use portrait mode on the back camera, and in the past I've been pretty happy with the pixels compression, the crop, and the depth of field. And I'm still not getting used to it on the iPhone 12 mini. I pretty much bought the mini because I really I bought it for the video functionality, but the photo functionality on the portrait mode, I actually prefer the Pixel 3a. and it's a year. I think it's a year or two older than the iPhone 12 mini, which was surprising to me. So if you guys have the Pixel 6 Pro or the iPhone 13 Pro, and have tested the portrait mode, please let me know in the comments, and if it has improved or you can tell a difference. Please let me know. But yeah, from these results, I'm really happy. Like for a small business, taking pictures of products or things that you want to get a nice depth of field without buying a camera, the Pixel series and the processing they have on it is pretty amazing. I'm pretty happy with it. And I don't know, maybe these compact cameras are becoming more and more obsolete, especially with these cell phones with multiple lenses as well that cover wide, mid-range, and a little bit of a telephoto for the portrait mode. But yeah, I'll make a separate video on the RX100 and why I have it and what I like about it. But yeah, till the next video. Yeah, so the things I noticed that I like on the Pixel 3a is that the portrait mode, it does the little zoomed in crop, which makes the portrait mode and the bokeh more realistic. It matches the focal length of the lens. While on the iPhone, there's no ability to zoom or do that crop before it applies the blurriness. You can always crop it in post, but I don't think I can always get it the same fit as before. Or the same framing and the same field of view and the same compression because it's just a wide angle lens. And then with the Sony RX100, you have a lot of flexibility with what you can do. You're limited with the f2.8, or once you zoom in a little bit, you're dropping down the aperture to f2.8 instead of the wide open at f1.8. But other than that, you have a full manual control, and it's fully optical blur depth of field instead of the masking and software-based portrait mode. I've noticed in the Pixel, it seems to be better at inanimate objects, or just if you're taking pictures of everyday objects, the Pixel 3a actually does the edge detection for the blurry background a lot better than iPhone. As you can see in some of the photos that I showed earlier, you could see the edge of the ornament blurring out, which you don't want and it's not realistic because optically, if you had a lens with that capability, you will have a nice fallout and not these bad masking artifacts. You guys can comment below if the iPhone 13 has better improvement in the portrait mode for objects. But yeah, Google Pixel, I've always taken pictures of it with the portrait mode, and it seems to be way better and more consistent with the edges of objects. For portraits, both of them work very well. I think Google Pixel does a little bit better. I don't know if it's just because of the compression that makes the bokeh and the field of view makes it more realistic, like an actual portrait lens photo. But their processing seems to be a tad better than the iPhone 12 mini. Again, if you guys have the newer Pixel 6 or the iPhone 13, leave some comments in them below and let me know, because I'm curious. I don't have those phones because they're way too expensive in my opinion, and I can't justify them. But yeah, let me know. And I hope this was useful for you to see if you have a need for a compact camera in 2021, 22, in 20x, 2020x, where in the near future, the RX100 is a 1-inch sensor, and you just have a lot more control, and there's an optical lens that you can adjust. That being said, Sony also released a camera this year. I can't remember the name. It's one of the Xperia ones, but it also has a 1-inch sensor, the same as this, and it seemed to have some really cool capabilities, similar to this camera, but compacted into a phone. But yeah, so hopefully this video is helpful, and yeah, I hope you guys can comment below about your experiences with the newer versions of the iPhone and Pixel, and if you see the same results as I do with the 12 mini and the Pixel 3a. Anyways, have a good one. See you in the next episode.